Welcome.
Please welcome.
The Outdoor Project Podcast. Hear real conversations from industry leaders on the latest in the hardscape and landscape industry. Brought to you by Cincinnati's Landscape Supply. You're now streaming the Outdoor Project Podcast.
As I should have showed up like that, dude. I'll be like, what in the hell did we sign up for?
I did bring a small size.
Was I not supposed to talk? I probably was. Like,
That's fine. It's different.
Yeah, I like it.
I guess I'll just introduce you guys. We got Jason Zullo with Zullo Designs coming from New York City today. And we got Jared from Paradise of Florida. What's up, guys?
What's going on?
What's up?
Man, this is the most anticipated episode on the Outdoor Project Podcast, I swear. We got a little bit of country. Yeah. And we got straight city. Yeah. And we got upstate New York here, too. So
It's cool being able to connect.
I love
in the
it.
sunny state of Florida.
Yeah, and it's funny because none of us met, right? But we act like we've known each other for years.
I know. Even when we had dinner last night,
it was great.
I was like, I knew these guys forever. Like the way the vibe of it felt.
You guys had dinner last night?
We had dinner last night.
You knew we had dinner last night.
Dude, I think Jared is getting us to all go vegan over here. I think he really talked us into it.
So we talk about the power of social media, and this is what we talk about. You guys have never met, but you guys have created this bond in this industry and you guys really force each other or strive to be great. Yeah. You know, and how did that bond start?
Man, I don't even remember.
Mutual respect.
Yeah.
You know, I like what he does.
Was it all on social media?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys met on social media.
And you got to be real close if you make it to my personal Facebook, as he probably does. I got to really respect you.
Right.
You get in my personal life.
Because once you get there.
So I think, did the work, I mean, once you guys got to see each other's page and stuff, is that where the respect started, you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I mean, I always looked up to this dude. Like, I always felt like he was like this underrated, like just master craftsman. And I appreciated it a lot. And then he's real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, obviously we'll talk about Instagram and kind of the smoke and the mirrors and things like that. But when I met him when I, engaged with him, sort of say, and we kind of connected, the realness that he had was like what I appreciate.
Yeah.
So
I think that's what you talk about. You know, when you see each other's work, that realness and the creativity, the craftsmanship, I think, and we see it every day because I see guys that are doing good work like Zullo and Paradise, and it just draws me to them, and it makes me want to DM them and say, hey, man, you guys are doing some good stuff.
Oh, man,
I mean?
I see stuff he posts, and I'm like, oh, man, I wish I would have done that. Next time, I got to do something like that, and I see stuff he incorporates, and I say, oh, man, I really like that. And that's a lot of stuff I see is just, building off of what other people do, and it's just pushing yourself because you see somebody, and I guess it's like friendly competition.
Yeah.
Or just, wanting to be better.
accountability.
Yeah, and I think we noticed that too between all the guys that we had on the podcast, and I think there's not really one person that stands out, but they're all into this, like making sure that the community grows, and educates themselves,
Right.
which is huge for us.
Absolutely. I know Jared we were talking about you at dinner, by the way.
Sure.
He's like, man, you've been doing stuff. You've been basically the trendsetter. I mean, you've been doing stuff for years that is now starting to come and play in the industry.
Yeah. That's what stuff people doing. Like he was doing. I seen a picture he posted like back in '98, and I'm like, dang, people like just now like doing this.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Jay, what's your favorite project that you've done?
So last year I did a job on the water. It's all porcelain, pool. And that's probably, if you had to define me, that's me on paper, building it, everything, exactly what I would want, great customer, let me do, almost free range to do what I want. And I mean, it came out better than I thought. And quick story is the pool company, they delayed that job for months. So we already started off on a bad taste, and we didn't start work until July 15th or 16th. And I was going away at the end of August, and this guy had already lost, the whole spring, a good part of the summer, and I wouldn't have been able to go away having that job half finished or anything, and we ended up doing it in 16 days, I think.
Wow.
But I'm, 13-hour days and
Late nights, working till night.
I left there a lot of nights. It was dark, but we got it done. And then, going back to credit, the thing that made it all worth it was I posted it on Facebook, and the homeowner commented just thanks, and then later I think he wrote something, he gave me this great job. And, aside from, I like when I get compliments from my peers and people I respect. That means a lot. An award doesn't really mean a lot to me. Right. But for that customer to go from such a bad taste from the pool company, like ready to throw him off the job.
Wow.
Right. And then to just all that got forgotten. And in 15 days, I was able to go from like basically a hole in the ground to this finished job that he's like ecstatic about. And it took all that bad taste out of his mouth and everything. And I mean, that was great. And aside, I think it's a really nice looking job too.
Yeah.
But just all that stress and everything and be able to get it done. I mean, it was great.
Wow. You said porcelain. Are you using more porcelain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
think
it's
it's
a way
more
to
of a
stand out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of new.
Porcelain. I was I didn't really believe in the porcelain, but man, guys are really starting to put porcelain in, especially around pools and in their designs. I can't believe how much porcelain in the exterior use has come to play.
It's not that much more expensive.
Slip resistant.
The stuff
durable.
we use, it's got a texture in it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't really see it. The other thing too is that job on the water is in the full sun all day, and they had their daughter, I think is a year or two old, walking on it bare feet.
Stays cooler.
You can hold your hand on it, doesn't get hot. Like, bluestone gets hot, pavers get hot.
Yeah.
And I think it resists fading and everything. You don't have to seal it if somebody drops something on it. It's just, to me, it's no efflorescence.
Besides the podcast, we're a supply company, a Sentinix Landscape Supply. So we sell porcelain. We've seen the trends year after year. Probably the last 3 years, it's getting more popular. We did a big job on Canandaigua Lake. It's called Bristol Harbor. We did about 9,000 square feet on there, and it's beautiful. And again, you go back 3 years later, and the porcelain is still like
it's super consistent.
Yeah.
Too. You don't get a bad batch. It's great.
Yeah. So Jared, how about you, buddy? What's your best project?
Oh man.
Besides them all, yeah.
That's hard to say because I'm so emotionally connected to each project because it's unique to the client.
Yeah.
But there was one I'd probably say. I don't know. It really stood out to me. His first name's Gil, and I was contacted just to do a paver walkway, and it was just going to start at like the beginning of the house, and it was going to wrap around to his pool area. And so when he reached out, and I got there, and it's crazy. So I'm like looking at it, and there's like all these oak trees and stuff, and I'm like, and he had like a couple other contractors out there, but he said, I really like your work, and so I want to do this walkway that leads up to it. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like looking around, and I'm like, man, we could do a walkway, but like these oak trees are going to lift the pavers, and like, we'll be out here fixing this, and you'll pay us more money and like all these things. And he's like, well, what would you do? And it was like the first project that I had like, for whatever reason, had like this complete vision, like knew the design, which is like rare for me.
I know the job he's talking about.
Yeah. Like I knew the design right away. And I was just like, man, I would do like this rock walkway, and I'd have all this landscaping and these woods. We would clear it out, and we'd make like this park setting. Yep. And then we like switch to his pool, and I'm like, oh man, your pool needs updated. Like we'll update the pool and the kitchen, and like so I'm just rattling on, and I'm thinking like, oh dang, here I done again. I'm probably done overwhelmed him, and he's like, whoa, buddy, I was just looking for.
I just wanted to spend a couple grand.
Yeah. And he said, well, why don't you design it? And so I did, and I came back to him, and I said, hey, listen, I'm not trying to upsell you, I just, you asked me, and I just, wanted to put it out there. And I didn't really think he was going to go with the project. I really did. Like, he followed me on social media, so he'll hear this.
Isn't that the best when you don't think and and then you get it and you're like, I should have charged more.
I wasn't expecting that.
I had even said to him, I was like, we could break this up in stages over a couple of years or something, and he's like, no. He's like, let's do it. And we did the whole thing, the pool, the kitchen, the landscape, clearing out the tree trim. I mean, everything. Just complete everything. And that project meant a lot to me just because a couple things. It turned out beautiful. And it's one of those projects that's just going to keep. I always tell a customer, I'm like, look, when we get done, like, this is the worst it's going to look. Give this stuff time, especially when it comes to the landscaping part. Give this stuff time, maintain it correctly, and this is going to give you like some of the best return that you're ever going to experience when it comes to spending money and stuff. Yeah. And and then he, I did a yearly checkup not too long ago, and he was just like, man, people come here and like tour our backyard, like they're just like, this is just crazy, especially where it came from.
It looks like a park. It's really
cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And then like, he had texted me. This was like right after we got finished, and they were really super cool because they worked with me, like, because I had the TV show going on, and I needed to step away off their project. And they're like, "Nah, go do your thing." I mean, they were like real cool clients, and so that even wanted me to go like the extra mile. Like, I really just wanted them completely happy.
Yeah.
And so he had texted me, and he's like, "Man." He's like, it's crazy. Like, it's like the first time me and my wife sat in our backyard and watched the sunset together.
Wow.
And then that hit me, and I was just like, man, it just felt good because I think ultimately what we really do is try to raise awareness and consciousness and to connect people with, like, our roots. And I think nature and being outdoors, I love being outdoors, like, is really our roots. And, so that one was cool, man. Like, that was real cool.
Yeah, you love hearing stories like that. All that time and effort you put into a project, and to be able to walk away and knowing the customer is that happy after all that hard work.
I can guarantee you sold that job because of your passion.
Yeah.
Because he saw how excited you were about it.
He said that.
Yep.
He said that. He said I had others, that came in, and he's like, you just, like, your face when I said, what would you do? It just, like, lit up. And like I said, it was. Sometimes I'm like, oh, well, I need to learn a little bit about you, and because it's hard to put a design together. It doesn't, happen like that.
Well, you guys make it look easy.
Oh, I wish it was.
Yeah, it seems like you guys you guys get emotionally attached to your projects, like that one and stuff. Is there one that really stands out except for that one that you really get emotionally attracted? Is it the first job you did, or is it just every job, or just every so often you get emotionally attached to these projects?
Honestly, I think each one kind of, not everyone, but a lot of them top them. Like, this job before that, I'm trying to think of the one, which was my favorite before that. But it's just, your style develops, and products and that stuff changes. So, like, even my backyard, I love my backyard. But now I'm like, oh, man, I wish porcelain was out when I did this. And I wish my style was this way because I would have done that. But it still looks great. It's just, I think you just got to continue to push yourself and top yourself and keep going. That's like a big thing I respect about Jared is in the past, I don't know, year or something. I don't know if you had an awakening, an epiphany, or you bumped your head, but you're just designs have gotten, or you're just maybe not afraid to do it now because you sold that job and, but his designs now are just from where he was, and not that it was bad before, but they're just like, he came into his own, and
one thing I learned about Jared last night is he's one motivated son of a gun, this guy.
And you both have to be.
The energy jumps through the phone when you talk.
Yeah, that's great though. Yeah, and besides the passion though, let's get into kind of like the details of things. Besides both your passion, because I know that's kind of what drew me to both of you, but let's talk about the Clear Story 3D imaging. And when I started looking at both of you, I mean, for me was like, all right, you're looking at these things, but lately, like with this new, can you expand a little bit about that?
Adam is Clear Story. He's probably, I mean, I'm going to say easily top 5 best SketchUp users in the world.
Yeah.
So I design in Dynarscape, and then I model in SketchUp, and then I render in Lumion. So there's a lot, people just say renders, but it's just a broad term. So, Adam's probably top 5 in SketchUp in the world. And, I remember I used to use another program, and I thought, my 3D was like great and everything. And then I stumbled across one of his, and I was like, at first you get like, oh man, like my stuff looks like trash. And then, so I don't know if I asked him what he used, or because that's like a big, like people go, I post something and I got 10 comments. What program is that? And to me, maybe they don't mean it like that, but to me that translates. If I had your program, I could get those same results. Like and I tell all the people, it is 90% user, 10% program. But I saw his stuff, and I forget how we started talking. And I just asked, and I mean, he's the most magnanimous guy in the world. That's a guy that wants to see the industry get better. So he's helped me with stuff and
giving.
Well,
I remember you said too, these things aren't what they are without the design, without your guys' brains and your thoughts behind it.
Absolutely, and he's helped me a lot to develop and just get the 3D to a better level. And then I talked to him, and he's even then he added me to a group on Facebook that's people that, he would say inspires him. And you look at it, and I mean, I'm just like, I don't even want to comment on it because I see it and I'm like, oh my gosh, these guys are like 10 levels above me. And all I could do is like the picture, I
don't even think I've posted a render in that group.
I think the last two that you guys posted really wowed me. I mean, that big job that, I don't know if you sold it yet, but the last 3D rendering you did from Clear Story was pretty amazing.
I don't know. We've done a lot of projects. I'm not
Probably Cabrera.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Cabrera. Yeah. Could you put a
nice.
name to it?
Yeah. Hasn't sold yet, but me and the client are working together. But that's gonna. They were so impressed with it that they were like, okay, well, when we get our forever home, you're coming with us.
Yeah,
right.
So I think I'm moving in or something. I'm not quite sure what's going on.
But like we were saying, I think that goes to if you, it sounds cliche, you surround yourself with people, that's what you'll get. And, not everybody needs to spend, I probably have over $10,000 in software and hardware. Yeah. But, the guy doing 200 square foot walkways, he doesn't need that.
Right.
Something like UVision is fine for that. But there's going to come a time where you want to develop and you're not going to get that with you're going to have to invest some money. You're going to invest some time. The last one I did that you guys are talking about, I basically relearned, or he taught me the right way to do it. And I mean, that last year would have taken me a day to do. I think I spent probably 2 weeks kind of relearn it to get it. But now that I see it, and I see the difference. I see the render I did before that, and I don't even want to post it because it doesn't even match up with that quality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you just got to kind of keep pushing it and reinvesting your time into it, because if you just keep using that, I hate to beat up UVision because I love Unilock, but if you're never going to get past a certain level, and if you want to stay there, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you want to, continue and you want to sell, I couldn't sell a $200,000 job with a UVision.
Right.
I wouldn't even want to open the laptop up and show the client. It doesn't make sense to me that, what's a good way to put this? If you show them, if you set the bar that high from the beginning and you got them excited and they're like, oh my God, look at all the effort this guy put into this picture for us. And, they don't even know the work that went into it. They probably think it's magic. But if if they're impressed by then, now that energy's up and you keep the ball rolling and, actually, Sean from Premiere made a comment, oh, I like the finished project to look better than the render.
Yeah.
If my render, if you say it's an A, now I got to top that.
Yeah.
So now that project's going to be an A+ or A++. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was going to bring that up because when we did the podcast with Sean, he liked his design program. He was like, because, it's so much. If I jump up one more design, he goes, it's so much of a challenge for me to meet that. But wow, I mean, trying to sell those jobs.
And
I look at your
Sean.
designs.
Sean's got a great niche.
Yeah.
He does great work. And that UVision works for him.
Yeah.
That's what he needs to sell his projects. And that's great because there's no reason if he doesn't want to do it. And if it's working for him, great. I wouldn't tell a guy that's cutting grass to go out and spend 10 grand and expect to learn all this stuff and try and sell a job. You shouldn't go from cutting grass to trying to sell a $200,000 job.
Yeah, because we have a lot of guys locally still just doing 2D designs, and they're beautiful.
That's
Don't get me
We
wrong.
got guys still doing them on napkins, and they're still doing sick work.
Adam says this a lot, and we were talking last night because I told him we're coming on, but a good design in 2D, I have black and white 2D designs that I think are beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad told me everything. He hand colors, hand draws, and you'll see he thinks it looks old and he doesn't like it. But I mean, his hand color renders are.
So I
like
take it
artwork.
that this is where you learned it from. Is your
100%.
father?
No education. I just been doing this my whole life.
Yeah,
basically.
hands-on,
He has
basically.
a degree in landscape architecture from University of Georgia. But
Wow.
everything I learned from him.
I look back at your Instagram too, and at the beginning, you had a lot of 2D drawings.
Right, because the 3D it was a time consumer for me, and I didn't think I needed it, and it was just that I didn't like the way it came out, so I did a lot of the 2D, and the 3D wasn't like worthy. And then when I started seeing like what real good 3D looks like, then I definitely didn't like sharing it. But
it's got to be the want to get better too.
Absolutely.
So you went from 2D to, whether these guys are doing Google SketchUp or UVision or something like that, which is great too, as long as they're doing, but then jumping up to this 3D is amazing.
A good design is not going to look good in 3D. 3D, a lot of problems, or what I think a lot of designs are lacking, and then they'll take them into 3D and they'll add, 20 fireballs on a job because the design, you need that fluff and that flash to make it look good. Meanwhile, who's spending, $10,000 and $200,000 on fireballs? But if a good design without all that flash will just look good, it'll because you need functionality behind it. You don't want it. It's got to be a good blend of functionality and function, right?
People want to see it because it's a lot of times these customers have a hard time envisioning what you're spewing at them. So by you maybe throwing a few people or people swimming on there, and then you be able to get the camera to go through the whole project, it changes everything. A lot of people
can't read plans.
Yeah,
that last one I did had 15 feet elevation it was all steps. I don't think that customer would have understood looking at the plan without that 3D. That definitely sold that job.
Yeah, I think when they're signing that check for your down deposit, and they're like, I'm just, if you're doing a 2D or something, they're like, all right, I believe in you. They might not be able to see it the way you guys are.
It's crazy because we've had customers that go, oh, I didn't even know what this was going to look like. And, you're talking $50,000, $60,000 job where it's just, and I guess that talk, speaks to that they trust the work that you're doing and everything. But to not, I could never. I overanalyze everything. Like if somebody's changing a light bulb in my house, I want to know what light bulb they're using, how long it's going to last. And that's just me. Yeah. But I guess some people can just give you free reign and they trust you.
Yeah,
that
trust
3D,
factor.
like it gives the customer to be more hands-on involved in a project.
Yeah.
And I think the customer feels more connected and the project's custom to them.
Right.
Because that 3D you can kind of look at and you're like, well, you know what? Let's change this about it. And what I'll even do is like some of my clients, like I'll bring my computer out there and I'll just have the raw SketchUp file and just kind of listen to it and stuff I can do right then and there. I'll kind of change it up. And it's usually like 90% of it. They're like, this is great. This is perfect. And then there's like this little tweak. And I think it's just their stamp on it. And I like change it and they're like, let's get started. And I'm like, okay.
You can see. The house is it's exactly the way it's that perfect design. I was just wowed with both of those and what you guys are doing with your designs. It's amazing.
We sell Cambridge pavers at our store location. We've seen a few of your pictures in the catalog this year too, man.
Yeah, there's a job in the Cambridge catalog, job in the Unilock catalog.
Unilock too.
Right.
Yeah, we noticed you're using the Yucaro wall.
Yeah.
How is it?
It's got a lot of potential. I love it. It's got a lot of potential. If they came out with some more panels, like I keep telling them they need to make like a wood grain panel, some more colors. It's there. It's got a long way to go. Maybe not a long way to go, but it's got a lot of potential.
It's probably big in certain markets. In our market, it hasn't hit yet.
You know what it is? Guys are probably afraid of it because they think it's more work. It's really not. You set the block. That's going to take you the most time. And then it's literally 2 seconds to hang the panel on it.
Yeah, you see this wall, but now the other manufacturers are starting to come out with similar walls too. Right. So, there must be a niche for it somewhere.
And my Unilock rep, I'm really friendly with it. He told, they were trying to figure out a way to do that for years. He might even said 10 years. So if everybody's doing it now, then,
Do you really think it's easier and more simple than your stacking?
No, it's not easier. It's not that much harder. It's just, it gives you a lot more flexibility. And the finish on it, because it's being made like a paver, it comes out of that mold. It looks like a paver surface. Yeah. And being able to use the same, I did a video for him and I said, you could almost start the job, not have the material picked out. Like if your supplier, if you guys had the backer block and I wanted to start the job, but you didn't have the color of the face block, that's fine. You could ship that right to me and I could start setting that block. And when the panels come, we hang the panels on it.
Yeah.
Those accolades, the catalogs, the Unilock and the Cambridge, does that give you some?
It's cool.
Relevancy.
The customer appreciating it more and seeing people use it means more to me than being in the catalog.
Yeah.
It's definitely cool. I don't want to act like I'm, hot stuff and I don't care about
But
it.
you are.
It's good to be recognized. It's good to be recognized, and it feels nice. But the customer liking it more is way more important than being in a catalog.
Yeah.
Jared, let's talk about you. You're a big star on HGTV.
I am. You know?
I was watching a video this morning, actually, you burying your skid steer in the driveway.
Yeah.
You having to pull it out with your excavator.
You can give the secret away now.
No,
You've eaten that one long enough.
Yeah, when that happened, we got a track machine. That was the part that bothered, but it's a 95 horsepower track machine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this little backyard, we're never going to need that. I'm like, we're going to take the wheel machine out there. And, yeah, we were running back and forth, and it was that whole backyard. So a lot of homes in Seminole Heights are like older homes that are getting revamped, and so you find like all kind of stuff in the ground and stuff. And it was concrete, and so when we pulled the concrete, just loosened up all the sand, and it was like, and it was just spun, like just completely spun. And then the crew was like, "Oh, this is awesome! Let's get this on video." And I'm like, "Okay." And we, it's weird, like how, because it's like, "Oh, hold on, we need to get this on video." Okay, we need to hurry. We got to get this done. So it's kind of, it's kind of strange, but
So you had an opportunity that arose recently. Tell us a little bit about that with the HDTV.
Yeah. So after it's already started airing now, but Extreme Home Makeover was switched through ABC. So when I was younger, I used to watch that, like, on ABC. Well, HGTV bought them and picked up the show. Well, it wasn't, after we did the episode for America's Most Desperate Landscape, I got reached out to do 10 episodes with them. And it was, at first I was just like, oh man, okay, this is going to be kind of cool, but I was kind of leery. Went in there, talked to my wife, and, she's always been supportive of me. She's the reason a lot of my success, but I said, we were supposed to Skype. It was like Thursday, and I was just like, okay, let's do this. And so Tuesday, I was sitting on the floor. Never forget this. I was sitting on the floor, like my phone's like right by my side. My daughter's right here, and we're watching Beauty and the Beast. And I just looked down at her, and I was just like, I can't do this, because I was going to have to travel all over the country. And I just, I get to do this for a living. And so it's cool enough. You know what I mean? It doesn't need to be on TV, And TV is so just fluffed and not as authentic as it really should be. And so it was just like, I get to do this anyway, So
at the time, you had no shortage of work.
No. Like I think sometimes we have too much work.
It's funny you say that. We did a episode with Lucas Lagoons, and he got into it a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about smoke and mirrors with social media, but there's a lot of smoke and mirrors with TV shows, and he goes into detail about in the podcast about almost losing his business because he wanted to do this TV show.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of smoke and mirrors, the time you put into it. It might be a 12-hour day, and you only get 4 hours of work done.
Right.
They're not paying you overtime. They're not. A lot of smoke and mirrors,
Payroll just sitting there for like hours, and you're like, what are we? But then the pressure's still on you to get done.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure it's appreciated, and that's a big part for me. Like, when a customer sees, like, if I'm investing my time into your project, I'm taking time. I look at more of the deeper elements of things, but I'm taking time away from my family. Like, I'm taking time away from the gym. I'm taking time of things that I love to do, and it's worth it. But everybody wants the appreciation, And that was the strange part, like, because like, I'm a yes ma'am, thank you, no sir kind of guy, like, and so when it kind of missed that, I was just like, man, like, I just felt like a number, like, like it, wasn't as special as I thought it was going to be. So I'm sure me and him could probably share some stories.
And we talk about balance.
Yeah.
You know, we talked a little bit about last night, and you two, you know, again, this podcast has been so hyped up for me too. The balance. I mean, you guys live 2 different lives, but your balance of being a father, being a husband, being a business owner, your balance is being in the big city, you know, attracts
Long
me
Island,
as well.
but-
Yeah, but still, you know, I see you driving your trucks and stuff in the city and Brooklyn and stuff. You know, there's 2 opposite things. Jared, how do you balance it all?
For me, it's got to go down to perspective. Social media, and the unique thing about Jason is that like he's watched me grow over the years. So he knew when like my projects were like, you know, well, like when you get like 10 likes, like he was there.
Right.
He was the one of
You
the
could
time.
see when his passion is in it, and just they just went up 10 levels in one shot. And I don't know if he had like I said, he had an awakening, but I think you and me are probably at the same point where this is work, and we've kind of realized that it's not everything.
Yeah.
And there's other stuff that's more important. I still love this, but I don't want to be the guy with 20 trucks and 50 employees. I thought
That's
I
where
did.
we probably really connect
Right.
to.
And no, I don't want to do that. I know now, maybe because I'm older, what parts of this business I like, and those are the things I want to do. You know, I don't like other parts. Those are things I'd like to get rid of, because if you got to do something every day, you got to love it. And it sounds corny to say, well, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. That's BS.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
completely.
It's work. Don't get me wrong. It's
Yeah.
work and whatever. But, you know, like I was saying, I think we're both at the same point where we know what's more important. You know, I don't want to be a millionaire anymore.
Yeah.
No, right?
Yeah.
I know what I need. I think you know what you need.
Oh,
It's just,
100%.
I see him. He's got his camper and he's happy. And I say,
Yeah,
oh
bro.
man, I would love to just.
It's the little things in
Dude,
life.
I'd live full time out of that, and just like I'm the type that would just disappear. Like, people are like, where'd he go?
I seen your last post with a tent over by the lake, and you were like,
Yeah.
"That's my perfect little."
Oh, and that's probably where me and him really started connecting, was just like where we shared it, because social media does such a job of just showing that, like, you know, oh, this all flash, and you got to do this, and you got to be this, and you're neglecting some of the things that are really important in life. And for me, I remember when I first started in the business, there was a guy that had been in business for 20, 30 years. I never forget, he told me, and he put doubt in my head. And he said, listen, he's like, you probably want to go ahead and divorce your wife. And I said, well, what are you talking about? You know, I was like maybe 3 years in the business. And he said, because this life, this world is going to take all your time, and she's going to be unhappy and stuff. And that hit me early on. And I'm like, shoot, maybe you, but not me. Like I'm gonna do everything, you know. And then and you're young and you're fiery, and you're like, no, I'm gonna get it all. I had even wrote myself a check for $1 million that I held, and I said, one day I'm gonna cash this, you know. But then perspective of the journey of life set in, and when I buried my father, when I saw my daughter born, like, the perspective of like what it actually meant really sunk in. And so now I think life is full circle. Now I'm literally finding myself trying to get back to the days in the beginning, you know, like where you had more time to really enjoy things, and the things that really mean things to you, like your wife, your kids, you know, working out, just being out and just being present in the moment. There's so many things, like we do things, especially when you're a business owner, because your mind's always racing. Your phones, texts, emails. I mean, you can look at them now. Like it's nonstop. So you may be doing something with the family, but are you really 100% there?
Right.
You know, and when you hear that ding, or when you hear stuff like that, and so, you know, I'm just trying to get back to that spot in life, man. Like, really.
Yeah, I mean, you're a true representation of it, clearly, but you see business guys that are just constantly go, and they don't give much time to their family or their kids. And it's like, listening to a guy like you really need to take a step back and really think about what harm you may be causing in your marriage, your kids. I mean, you're missing out on a lot of stuff because you got to be on your phone, you got to go to meetings. I mean, you gotta have a way to balance that at the end of the day.
Right. You're always going to have to make sacrifices. that's just what
just
it
the
is.
way it is.
Right.
That's
And
life.
you get rewards for that, and there's trade-offs and everything, but it's balanced. You can't work your whole life and miss your whole life because at some point that's it.
Yeah.
I say, like, I want to enjoy my life when I'm 40. I don't want to be 70 and not be able to move around and stuff. And what's the point of having a ton of money and everything if
You can't
have
have fun
Can't
with it.
enjoy it.
Well, it's like the things we talked about, like last night, where it's balance is key.
Balance
And
is
I
key.
believe so hardly. And it's the things that, social media doesn't show. Like they're showing, all the shiny equipment, expensive lifestyle, the happy family, but is it real? And what you'll
their credit score is real.
exactly.
That's about it.
And we like to talk here. This is Real Talk
Yeah.
podcast.
Oh, it's about to get real.
Someone said the other day, I could go to Porsche right now, sign my name on the paper, drive out with a new Carrera without putting a dime down. But that payment comes in 30 days.
Yeah, you still got to pay it off.
A lot of what I put is joking around. Like post a car, like I rented a car.
Yeah.
I don't own that car, but I could easily, put a 10 plans on the desk and take bidding all the stuff like super busy, but it's not true.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Like these guys, like we all make the same money. Nobody's, I don't know, charging double or So I know we all know what everybody's making.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nobody's going out and buying a Ferrari from putting pavers down.
Well, I love the realness too. We did with Richard from RC Outdoors, and he said, it hurt him to think about spending another $250,000 on equipment.
I saw that clip, yeah.
And he's just happy where he's at.
I
he
love
has
that.
he has a kid, he
'Cause
has
I
a
spent
wife.
that.
Same thing. Yeah.
I'm like, why did I do this?
It's that balance.
$250,000 right now.
But it's that realness that we all know about, really.
And it's beautiful that he recognized that without spending it.
Yeah.
A lot of money. Because I had this.
That leverage.
Yeah. Well, in the beginning, I was so like, I saw these, it's like everything. I saw these bigger companies and their accolades and stuff, and then like all the trucks and the people. And I was like, I want that. And it wasn't till I got around that with another company we started doing work with, and I saw how truly miserable people were. And how when I came in, they were like, why is this guy so happy? It's because we were small. It was manageable. I was doing a little office work. Sometimes I was out in the field. Like I could, I controlled a lot of what I did. And, but I was just like, oh no, but it's going to be different for me. And it wasn't. And it cost me a lot of money. Yeah. I was like, I'm different. I'm special, and it cost me a lot of money. And it's like I said, life is full circle. And, I understand that, like, there's just so much with, especially being an entrepreneur, that's overlooked, just not in this industry, and that's underlooked of that what's real battles going in with the owner and the people that are there. And it's not talked about, but, I was kind of telling y'all last night, like, 3 things are bound to happen if you're an entrepreneur. Like, the chances are real high that you're going to commit suicide, you're going to get a divorce, you're going to cheat on your wife. And that's reality. And nobody's talking about that. So you got to ask yourself, for me, it was like, why is this? Because everybody's smiling. Wife look happy, the kids look like, I don't understand. Like, where does this come from?
Yeah, that's a big thing with social media is you're only going to see what people want you to, what they put out.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of guys that, maybe at our level should have more responsibility in like the image that they're portraying, because these young guys see it, and, it's not like movie stars, like that type of life, but they think it's, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do this and I need this. And they don't understand that that's not the case. You don't know this guy's backstory, and I think I wrote the point down, but you can't recreate somebody's path to success because you don't have the same exact conditions. Right. You don't know who's that guy. Maybe he has some connection that, that's landing him all these jobs.
Right.
You might not have that connection. You could go out and buy the same stuff as him. He could, charge you money to tell you how to do it. But unless you're an exact clone of him, it's probably not going to happen. You know what I mean? And you didn't see all that work that went up to that point. Yeah. Or maybe he got lucky and, it's not hard work.
Right. I mean, I like your point, but on the other end too, it's Greg Witzcock said it. and he always says it, is find someone that's doing something that you love and do the exact same thing. So, yeah, you probably don't have the same connections, but I think everyone in this room has an idol that maybe they looked up to.
Do the same thing.
Do the same thing, but you're not going to be able to.
It's not happening overnight.
Exactly.
And it might not happen.
Yeah.
You might be completely different. You know what I mean? I forget who was saying, it might have been Matt Henner, that how he learned to design was he looked at other people, and for a while he kind of copied that style until he got his own style. And that's fine to look up to people and want to do that 100%. My thing is just, if you're only showing the best stuff that happens to you and you're not really showing...
Fake.
It's fake.
Insta fame doesn't equal success.
And another thing is, that's a good point, whoever came up with that.
Yeah, I think...
He's like, I did.
Not me.
Right, especially like Instagram fame is like nothing. It's not even, it's not even real.
Stupid.
You know what I mean?
It's so dumb.
Like, how many followers do you have?
It's nice to have a lot of followers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I really feel that they should be real ones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think, and that's what I said when we started doing this podcast, we're going to do it. It's all going to be organic. You know, the people that are following us are the people that want to follow us.
Yeah.
You know, we're not going to go out and try to get followers just because we want followers. You know,
and
it just has to happen organically.
That's when I said, like, he's underrated in the terms of social media.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when it comes to real life, like stuff that really matters, like I said, dude's a stud at what he does, man.
Yeah.
It's just phenomenal.
I don't really want, the credit. That doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
If a picture gets 100 likes, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's not real. It's on my phone. I can shut it off and it went away. Like I said it before, what matters to me is he goes, oh, wow, look at that. I'm like, oh, wow, I impressed Jared. Or, and pick anybody. You know what I mean? That matters something. That's somebody real life that I respect, that he knows what went into it. It means a lot more coming from him than someone that has no idea, oh, it's a pretty picture. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you can look at your followers. I mean, whether you got 13,000 or you got 4,000, it really doesn't matter because your work are comparable. You know what I mean? It's great.
Like, break the big illusion.
No,
If
I
you
look up
at
to
any
this guy.
contractor's
Yeah,
followers,
Like, I
right.
legitimately look up.
Yeah.
Look at any contractor's followers. I can guarantee 75% are other contractors.
Yeah.
That's why, it's not random people that are like, oh, look at Paradise. It's me following him.
Yeah.
And you guys follow him, which is fine.
Yeah, it's
But
great.
it's not, he's not, well, you are a superstar, but
Yeah.
within,
We like to look at the social media because we have in Rochester, Buffalo, Syracuse, all the way to Albany, to Erie. We got some really good contractors working under our referral program or just buying from us. But they don't use social media to kind of get those followers. They use social media just as a portfolio in itself.
Yeah.
So when they used to have a website, but now it's easier to post stuff on Instagram.
Absolutely.
Say, hey, go to my Instagram. Here's all my work. It kind of sells the jobs before. And I think we talked about it when you put out that 3D design. I'm like, dude, that job is sold already, you know? So I think they use it as a portfolio now. Yeah. So we see it every day because the guys that we're around are doing amazing work too. They only might have 200-300 followers.
There, guys, I was thinking, I was like, oh, what are these guys going to ask me? Maybe they're going to ask me who I look up to. And I was thinking, I was like, if I say it, you won't know them because they have almost little to no social media presence. But they're like, doing humongous jobs, and that doesn't matter the size of the job, but just these huge projects. And they probably have 90 to 100 followers.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're doing, a couple $100,000 jobs. And it's insane that. But they don't want the recognition,
Literally, we got a job right now going. It's $1.5 million. This guy's not even on social media.
Right.
Yeah.
And this job is amazing. It's on Canandaigua Lake. It's going to be the top 20 biggest, most beautiful jobs in the country right now. And he has no social media.
Well, it's like I was talking to a Vicon Design Group, Anthony, and we were just talking about how little social media matters. It matters to the mid person, Yeah. But after that, when you really start to get to the really wealthy people that are spending millions upon millions of dollars, they don't even have social media.
Right. Yeah.
Like I'm real good friends with Rick Hendrick, who owned Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, and like all that stuff, and text him frequently. He's kind of like a mentor. He's been friends of the family for a long time, and company did almost $2 billion last year. Like not million, billion. and he don't have a social media. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's like, and it was funny. Me and my family, we got together, and we're sitting there talking and stuff, and it's just so. I was talking about another buddy named Peter. And he said, yeah, man, I was just hanging out with Tom Cruise, and we was just watching. And I'm like, my wife looks at me, and she's like, he's just nonchalant, like hanging out. But it's just like us, you know, never, you know what I mean?
It doesn't
like,
matter. It doesn't matter to them. Like my brother Chris works for a big company in Florida, and the owner, right? You would know he has, I mean, he just sold the company. I don't know what he sold it for, but he was on his plane yesterday, 1 or 2. And, you know, the guy dresses like us.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about followers and, you know, all this other stuff.
Engagement. That's one thing I probably learned the most about social media is like how quickly it exploded for us versus where we were like last year. And like we're talking about like, you know, the kind of like the dark side of social media where all the comments aren't genuine comments. They're bought comments.
Yeah.
You know, the likes are not genuine likes. They're bought likes and stuff. But it's all, and that's life. It's building a perception. That's really what social media is. And it didn't start with social media. They've been doing this, you know, when you're keeping up with the Joneses. People have been doing this their whole life and still do this right outside of social, because everybody's going to give you their best, you know. Right. Let me give you my best look and stuff. Very few people are giving you a raw look. That's why me and him connected, because I'm a very straightforward, very real person. Like I'm.
If you know Charlie Almond Butter, this is.
Don't go look that up.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, man, and I take a lot of pride on that. I take a lot of pride in not being for sale. There's too many people in this world that are sellouts. You know, they sell out for fame. They sell out for social media fame. They sell out for money. They sell out. Like, I'm not for sale. My life ain't for sale. I value the things that are that you can't put a price on. You know,
just you turning down a TV show shows that.
Yeah,
right
that's
there.
a true representation right there.
Most people don't do that. You know what I mean? The first thing ego sits in, it's like, oh man, I can be this. Well, first thing I think about is my wife and my kids. You know, like, what does that do? Because my dad died at 47. So I'm like, man, you know, I'm 33. You know, like, so it sinks in the back of my head. I'm like, I got to give them my best. And when my time does come, I want to feel like there's no regrets. I think probably the worst, and I saw it, the worst things would be dying with regrets, like wishing you would have done this, wishing you would have. For me, I can't. That's why I'm every day, like I'm fiery. Yeah. Like, you know, I'm a go-getter. Like, I want to be my best, and everything in life, I call it no stones unturned, and I hit everything. I see too many people sacrificing their health for the lowest form of success, which is like money and shiny objects. It's crazy. Yeah. And I'm like, yo, like, don't sacrifice your physical health, mental health, or spiritual health. Like, that's everything. Like, it's everything. And I take a lot of pride in that. And, you know, I'm a go-getter when it comes to that. You know,
when you got
see this guy up at 4 a.m.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. I'm rolling over, going to the bathroom. I look on, he's working out. I'm like, oh,
same energy level too.
Even my clients will say, when I went to Cabrera's house, they're like, so you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning? And I was like, you know, I got a crazy schedule, and I got to get it in when I got to get it in, you know? So
Dude,
I can't make any excuses for it.
It's great. I mean, just the stuff you post on Instagram, I think I've screenshotted every one of your stories, because it's so inspirational. And just sitting down here with you today, it's like, man, I could really make some changes myself too.
This guy makes you want to go eat a salad and go work out.
Seriously, man.
I ate a shepherd's pie last night. I was feeling bad. I had 2 Cokes. Hey, I washed it down with the water though.
We had bread brought to the table. I'm like, man, that looks incredible. But Jared's here. I'm not eating that. Get this away from me.
And you know the crazy thing is, and you know, I know we're joking around and stuff, but like for me, I I think so many people are subjective to, and they do this on social media. You kind of talked about it, like where they're following other people and they like almost idolize them. And they're like, I want what they want. I want that type of marriage. I want to dress the way that we spend. And I think that's part of the media in general, where it's television, music, everything. Like it's to dumb us down and like program us to be like other people or be like the way they want. There's so much value in being unique and being you and not putting on a front. And I think you can get a lot further in life by being that, by truly being self-aware of who you are. There were so many times, man, like because of things I went through as a child, like I wouldn't show, like I'd put up a brick wall and I was like, you know, like, man, I'm tough. I am not tough. Like put that on record. I am not tough. Like I'm an emotional, I'm a passionate, I'm a very driven guy. Like that's just who I am. And I had to be self-aware of that and learn, because all my life, man, people try to put me back in that box. Like you better go to college. I hated school. I skipped all the time. I was a class clown. I didn't take nothing serious. I didn't think the rules applied to me or anything. And so, you know, I had to kind of embrace those things about it. But, you know, that's the biggest thing about life is just like, I think there's just so much value. People really need to learn who they are, to take time for themselves, because it can affect everything in their life, from their business. My business is literally just a product of who I am at life.
Do you think being unique, both of you, being unique and individual, do you think that translates to your jobs? I know you say you kind of look at other people's work as like, wow, wow, wow. But is there always something about your job that is unique to yourself?
Oh, I think you put a part of yourself into every job, you know?
Yeah, I noticed a lot of them, like you guys are doing like sunken patios and stuff like that. How long have you been doing the sunken patio?
So I did one, I did my backyard was the first, but usually I do something that's at my house or at a friend's house, something like that, just to see if it actually works.
Yeah.
5-6 years ago.
Yeah. I'm going to put out a challenge to our guys locally, because they look up to you guys too. You know, whether they're not on social media, but they're on social media looking, like you said, following you guys and stuff like that. I'm going to put a challenge out in Rochester, Buffalo, Syracuse, and Albany. Who's going to be the first one to do a sunken patio?
I want to see it.
So I got a really good idea. If you get someone that wants to do it, I'll give them this idea, because I haven't been able to do it yet, but I got a really cool idea. If somebody wants to do a really cool sunken fire pit.
Yeah.
And he helped me on my last one.
He did?
Yeah,
I seen you
Yeah,
did
so
one.
you did one too, right?
He helped me out because, you know, I did this design and I had this idea. And, you know, obviously drainage is
that's
It's
a
an
big
issue.
issue.
Yeah.
Like, and so for me, I was just like, I had this idea of how it was done. And he was like, basically, like, yeah, that's how I did it like the first time. I was just like, okay, what you got? And then basically, like, it's like this drain field. And I'm like,
Basically,
dude,
like a
It's
permeable.
like a permeable
It's
application,
like a
kind
reverse
of.
leaching field. So like a leaching field, you'd have perforated pipes going out into a drainage bed and it would drain. So you just do the reverse. So the water's going into those, you know, fingers and then leading out through the arm to something else.
and we backed up to a retention pond and he shot me
Perfect.
that idea. And it was like, I was like, dude, this is genius, man.
Did you do that at your house or did you do it at a customer's
at
house?
a customer's house. Did it at a customer's
that
house.
worked out perfect.
And I got a lot of comments or DMs that were like, oh, wow, dude, that's some serious overkill. And I'm like, well, you know, I'd rather overkill than it floods.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
something that's important is I want to say is you have a responsibility to these customers that if you don't know what you're doing, don't play around with their house. They live there. You know, you wouldn't like watch a YouTube video on open heart surgery and then, you know, give me a bypass, right? Why is our industry any different?
Right.
You know, to be an electrician, you have to be licensed. You know, this is just
The same.
whatever you need, you know, just do it. But you can't just play games with people's houses. You know what I mean? Like that drainage. Like, what if you did that job and then it rained and then it's filled
a
up like
pool.
a swimming pool? You know? And what do you do? Oh, I don't know.
Now you got a jacuzzi with a fire in it.
Just sitting there looking at it.
Everyone likes water and fire together, right?
The feng shui. of it.
And I've been looking at you guys' stuff, and I put you guys up there. We're doing a podcast with Danny Wang and California Studios, Realm Designs, and stuff like that. And they're out there doing some unique stuff too: sunken patios, sunken barbecue grills, and kitchens and stuff like that. And what do you guys think into 2020, what's going to be your kind of...
Can I tell you what we need to move away from?
Yeah.
Please do.
The turf diamonds.
Oh, I knew he was going to say that.
Let's just all get together and figure out what the next thing is. I'm tired of seeing it.
Joe,
It's
I
been
wanted
done.
to do that at the home show. I guess we can
Oh, yeah.
now.
So he goes, hey, let's do that. No, man.
Do it a different way. I got a different way we can do it. But
Yeah.
that-
Yeah.
it's enough. We all did it. It's done.
What don't you like about it?
No, I love it. It's great, but we can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. What's the next biggest thing? Like, what's on Zullo's mind right now?
Hexagons.
We don't want to get into that.
Man,
So, the hexagon.
I've never heard all this, y'all.
Yeah, we don't want to get... We got to stay away from that one.
You guys want to sell
Diamonds.
diamonds? Yeah.
What do you think? I know your last design, too.
I think
mean...
Porcelains.
porcelain, natural stone. I think that's something that it's never going to go out of style. Like I see a lot of trends now that these big inlays and everything, they look cool. It's really cool. My main concern is in 5 years when that's not the trend, what is that going to look like? And there's ways to do it. Don't get me like Sean does beautiful work. That's his thing is the inlays.
Yeah. What
That's-
makes him unique?
Right. That's fine. But I see some of these guys like just going crazy and express yourself artistically. But this is somebody's backyard. They're going to live there 10, 20, 30 years. What's that going to look? Is that going to be,
Right.
are we going to rip that up in 10 years and be like, oh, look at like the octagon, whatever those papers were.
Yeah.
Hexagons.
Hexagon
Yeah.
in the 90s. So it's got to have context in it. It's got to that's what I've said. Natural stone and that's a timeless thing. That's never going to go out. That
Yeah.
porcelain is it's classy. It
Yeah.
looks good. It's
I
It's
feel like
clean.
in my
It's
opinion,
clean.
I feel like everything goes out of style at one point, but eventually it makes a full circle and comes back.
oh, for sure.
You know what I mean?
My dad was saying, oh, it's now everything's like that modern polished look. That's what it used to be, and then everything went to like tumbled. Like I have Blue 60 in my backyard.
Yeah.
That was like the first or second year it came out. Now I'm like, tumble pavers. Why put tumble pavers?
Yeah.
Like,
We're gonna see the key lock pavers come back in the
That's-
style too.
I do agree with you because Sentinix Landscape Supply, we own a natural stone company called Yukon Valley. And over our last 2-3 years, our numbers in stone have doubled. So what we do is we've changed the industry in upstate New York. We push a lot of natural stone just because we want the longevity of these jobs to be real.
Right.
Just like you said, 10 years down the road,
right.
you want this
What's
to
it
be
gonna
nice
look
for
like?
the, yeah,
Right.
you
It's
still
not,
want
it's
this.
not the front of an office building
Right.
or in front of a hotel or something. It's somebody's house. They want to go out and look at it. And hey, if they love it and they love it for 20 years, great.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
I think there's really no way around it. I think anything you do, like you said, you have your own house that you
Right.
did something last year and you already hate it because there's the next best thing. I think there's no way around it. Anything that we're gonna install
Yeah.
today, 2-3 years down the road, we're gonna want
There's
something the
definitely-
next better
There's
thing.
definitely trends. Like in 5 years when everybody's got turf diamonds in their thing, it's not cool anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because everybody has it. When I first saw it was probably 6-7 years ago, a driveway in Florida, and I was like, oh, that's the coolest thing. I got to do that. I got to do that. And I tried. Nobody wanted it, and then I finally found somebody that let me do it, and it was like, oh man, that's awesome.
And that's what you have in the Cambridge catalog, right?
That was probably the second or third time I did it.
Okay.
And more than likely the last time I'll do it.
Right.
Just, not to sound cocky or anything, but I've done it. I don't want to do it. I want to try and find the next cool thing to do that people see that and be like, oh yeah, look at that. That's what I want.
Right. How about you, Jared?
Well,
What do you got
he
cooking
said
up?
he said a couple words that were just key for me when it comes to design and where I think the industry is headed. I think what you're going to see with any industry is how it correlates with how our life is going. And so you think about like how everything is going like clean lines and minimal and stuff like that. It's because we're busier than ever.
Yeah.
That's what determined what the industry was going to do. And this is just not this business or this side of the industry. It's just, I think it's a lot of businesses just all the way around. I think a good way to predict where your business is going is just look at the mass amount of people and how they're living their life. And we're busier than ever. We're like the own downtime that we do have, like we're on our phones and like everything is so readily available from, you know, Amazon to social media, like everything's there. So I think that's why the minimalist type design is getting, and clean lines is getting really popular. But I think with that saying, what I think is going to be the real big trend is like you said, was the timeless look, because people are going to get tired of just, we're becoming as a society more conscious and aware, and people are going to get tired of jumping around from trend to trend. It's going to wear. It's like, man, and that's why there's this company in Florida called Signature Landscapes, and
We see them.
Yeah, phenomenal stuff that they do, and it's not like flashy, but it's timeless. It don't matter what everybody's doing around. Like that look is going to be beautiful.
Right. That goes back to what we're saying about wealthy people not dressing with all that flash.
Exactly.
Like if you look at you know, some of these jobs, you know, they're just, the best way I can say it is classy. It's subtle. They show restraint. Like that's like a big, like a chef. They know when a dish is done. There's no need to throw this extra thing on it because it's too much.
Yeah.
You know, when do you stop? A good dish, if you know food, you know when you're like, oh, this is perfect. Everything you need, every element is on there. You don't need anything else. It's perfect. And I think a good design needs that. Like you don't need all this, you know, sometimes a lot of flash, and maybe that's, you know, what the people want and it's trendy and it's cool. But if you look at, you know, what we do a lot of high-end stuff. So like the high-end trends are, that's kind of what filters down and, you know, it gets a little watered down as you go into like lower markets and stuff. But like you said, timeless and like classy and understated. And that's just like the way things, you know, I think that's the way they're going.
And natural stone.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that, like he said, the natural stone, because we are becoming more connected and understanding energies and vibes and how it works than I think ever before. I think we weren't like that, like in my dad's generation. You know, it's just like, you know, work your job and da-da-da, and, you know,
Pay
work
the bills.
Yeah. Now we're like, no, there's more to life. There's more meaning. And we're starting to feel these vibrational energies, and you're going to get that from nature.
Yeah.
So any kind of natural material, I think is going to be really the...
Well, you think about it. You do a lot of fire features, a lot of water features. I see you guys doing water features, natural stone. I mean, keeping things natural, and that's been our key for us, is natural is beauty, and that's our slogan. And we're going to stick with it. And, you know, for the last, 5 years, we've been selling nothing but natural stone, especially where we are. I mean, you got a lot of mountains, you know, it's upstate New York, but you got the Adirondacks, you got, you know, it's just a great opportunity for natural stone, all the lakes.
I think another thing is it's not like pavers, anybody could put pavers down. Yeah, you could do it the right way and the wrong way, but it's just, you know, like Lego blocks.
Yeah.
Like stone, you got to show a little more craftsmanship,
Yes.
a little more like art in it and everything. And it's a, you know, it's kind of way that if you want to differentiate yourself from everybody throwing down ledge stone, you know, put some natural stone.
Yeah, natural stone's been around a long time. I mean,
Forever.
you go to old jobs that still have blue stone that
Literally
you
forever.
can take out and make it look brand new again.
Wash it off. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what we do too is we try to find the best stones in the industry. So let's say you're going to do a pattern cut, making sure it's all thermal gauged. If you're going to do an irregular flagstone, we're getting gauged flagstone in now. Just make it easier for the consumer, for you guys, so you can screed, lay. You don't have to worry about the different thicknesses.
And that's probably
and stuff.
a turnoff why a lot of people don't want to work with it.
It's
If you
harder.
can make it easier to work with.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. Yeah. And you said it right too, because everybody's on their phone. It's quick too, especially being an install company with clean lines. It's less cuts. You know, it's less time on the job site. Not saying you're going into it thinking about that, but when you do think about it, you can measure to a certain point, not making cuts. Maybe you are thinking about it. Yeah.
Porcelain is more money, you know, materials, the porcelain and everything, but our install time is, you know, way faster with the porcelain.
Yeah.
They're huge pieces.
You're
laying
throwing
little
down 2 by 2 at a time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and talking about that, do you guys use, are you guys investing in any tools? We sell a lot of tools, you know, pave tool or whatever. So there's a lot of important tools out here now with really heavy materials and stuff.
Yeah,
are you investing in any
like
tools?
the XL slabs will get our supply yard and Unilock have a lifter
Yeah.
that they'll lend to people using the
Unilift?
Yeah, the Uni.
Yeah.
No, the
the
two-man
suction. Yeah,
one
yeah.
To do the big slabs. What else?
But on a day-to-day.
You know, I know over the course of the day you're going to get fatigued and everything. Not everybody can go out and buy that.
Yeah.
But a big thing that we bought 2 years ago, I think, is the dustless saw.
Yes.
Let me just clear up the rumors. If you get the right size generator and you have a good blade on it and you, whatever they call dress the stone,
Yep.
it doesn't cut as fast as a gas saw. Nothing is ever going to cut as fast as a gas saw. It cuts fast enough.
Yep.
And you don't have that dust. A, for the health reasons, but B, you're not caking the neighbor's screens with dust.
Yeah.
The guy with the black car that just washed it off is not screaming his head over the fence. That's something that everybody, I think they need to have. I hope that they come out with a demo one that can do it the same
Right.
dust that's not heavy and thing, and I think they will. But yeah, that's a big thing. And just the other thing is the table saw. Anybody, you can throw a guy on it that's never cut before. You can get perfect cuts every time.
Right.
You know, it's a little loud, but hey, headphones on.
Yeah,
You know?
we sell those dustless IQ saws. We've been selling more and more each year. You know, I think it was started 3 years ago, and they got so many. You got the dustless attachments to your power saws too.
I think it's so important because not only those things you just mentioned, but with OSHA right now making their rounds,
They'll put you out of
one of
business.
those fines will put
Put you out of
any
business.
small business out of business. I mean, it's not something to play around. These guys really do need to start investing, like you, and I haven't talked to you about it, but investing in equipment to go dustless, not only for their health but for their
It's
business.
just more professional.
Yes.
You don't have to power wash the house off when you're done.
Right, right. And I didn't know if that was just a New York regulations with OSHA. What in Florida are they cracking down on stuff like
And
that?
it's like the Wild Wild West here, man.
Yeah, I know in New York it's crazy. I mean, they're putting fines on top of fines. They're putting fines with your employees and stuff like that. What is it like?
I think it's 10,000 per person within a 100-foot radius, or I mean, I don't know the details, but you have 4 or 5 people next to you,
yeah.
50,000, you're done.
Yeah.
Do you have any of that down here in Florida?
Here in Florida, I think because I did landscaping in North Carolina, and I learned like Florida's very they're very loose with their laws. Like there's guys doing things. I'm like, how in the world? Like just trucks and trailers that are going down the road with something like not even strapping equipment down and stuff. And I'm like, how is this even? Because like, golly, you go 2 miles over speed limit in like South Carolina and like they're freaking on you, you know. But like here in Florida, like I don't. It's lenient here. I mean, it really is. And you know that can be a good thing. That can be a bad thing.
Yeah.
You know, as far as because I've seen some really, really dangerous stuff that guys are doing that, you know, other guys that, you know, have insurance and, you know, taxes and like all this stuff and like they're losing jobs to guys like these, you know.
Right.
And so
We could dive right into this then. Now.
yeah.
So there's got to be like a industry standards, right? That's what we all been talking about.
I put it on the last
Right.
post.
So
The guy with the pickup truck.
the guy with the pickup truck, and everybody's got to start somewhere. That's fine, but everybody's got to be. You know, what happens if you don't charge enough? A, you're devaluing yourself. You're devaluing the whole industry.
Right.
You know, so I have this thing, and I sent it to you guys. I was working on like this thought. You have Dunkin' Donuts on one corner and Starbucks on the other corner, right?
Yeah.
Dunkin' Donuts is doing great. Starbucks is doing great. They're charging $2 a cup of coffee. Starbucks is charging double. They're both busy, right?
Yep.
Don't give the coffee away. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, don't be that guy. If everybody's charging $18 to $20 a square foot in your area, don't do it for 10 because you're giving it away.
Right.
And you might be busy, but if you have to give something away to get work,
That's
what's
bad.
You're
what's
devaluing your work.
Everybody,
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
You know, I don't understand how guys, you know, $10, the pavers with materials, you're talking $5 a square foot. How are you doing it for $10
And
a
it's
square
just
foot?
going up and up every year.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, where's it
That's the other
end?
thing. Yeah.
Right. So, you know, yeah. And that guy, you know what? He might be killing it, quote unquote, and he might be really busy. But at the end of the day, when the work slows down, and that's another thing we need to talk about because that's going to happen eventually.
Yep.
You know what I mean? This is not going to keep going on forever and ever like that. Those bills are going to keep coming. And if you're not charging enough and you're not putting enough away to account for that, what's going to happen? Yeah, the bank's going to come. All that brand new, F550 is going away. That brand new machine it's all getting towed away. You know what I mean?
we see it all the time. I know at our locations, our 2 locations, we keep our standards up. So we get customers in here looking for contractors, and we tell them straight off the bat they're not cheap. Nothing that we do, we sell, or anything is cheap. If you're going to go to cheap, go to the home, the box stores. So nothing is cheap with us.
It's like he said, like they're literally, and I've thought about this here in our area, but for whatever reason, and it's just a testimonial to the system that we live in, that contractors are competing against each other is beyond me.
Right, especially right now.
Yeah. That's the
There's
other
so
thing.
much
There's
work.
so
right
much
now.
more
When
right.
you see me on Facebook, I'm sharing other companies that are quote unquote my competition. They're my competition.
Right.
We're all working.
Yeah.
They might not even be working in the same areas I'm working from. And you know what? The thing is, okay, they posted something and it looks cool, and I repost it. Their followers are not my followers.
Right.
But you know what's going to happen? Maybe someone that follows me says, "Oh, I like this picture. Yeah, I could build that too. I know the guys that
Right.
built it. I'll ask them how they did it."
Right.
And there you go. What does that hurt? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not like if someone knows me and they're following me, they're not going to go to that person. They're going to say, "Oh, I know Jason does that. I'll just ask him."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and that's where, like, I mean, this is one of the, I guess, quote unquote, the darker sides of being in business is that the amount of people that are, I don't know, maybe it's this area, but that, like, they view you as such a competition, and they're like obsessed with you, and they block you on social media and like all this stuff, and it's weird because like it's usually like if you feel threatened by another company, then you need to get out of the industry because you don't believe in yourself. You're like, this is insecurity at this point. Like, trust me, and this ain't just with your company. You carrying this on to life. Like, if you're insecure about another contract, I don't look at Jason like, even if he did it, I've worked with guys that are literally 2 miles down the road, and we shared each other's stuff. We did a job together.
Yeah.
Like, he was like, "Hey, man, I'm doing the pavers. Could you help me out on the landscape?" And I was like, "Dude, I got you. I did a design. We sold it together. I did it with them. I shared their stuff."
Any respectable person in this industry, if they get called to the same job as you, they're going to decline. I had a good friend. Somebody recommended us by chance to the same homeowner, and just from me talking to him, I said, "Oh, I'm going on this appointment there." He goes, "Oh, I was just there yesterday." I said, "Oh, really?" Found out it was the same guy. I texted the guy, "Hey, I found out that you had so-and-so come bid on your project. I don't compete against him. Yep. You're in great hands. I wish you the best of luck with your project." Yeah. There's no reason why, I wouldn't do, if you were here, I would do the same thing. So no, he's bidding on it.
Or work hand in hand.
Yeah.
Or work hand in hand.
Yeah. And I've literally done that, and I'll try to. And the bad thing is if contractors, designers, or whatever don't I don't know if there needs to be like an annual meeting or something, but need to get on the same page because you're hurting each other. Because you cutting it in half because you don't have health insurance, it's not a good thing. Yeah. And so with I'll do the same thing. Like clients, they'll play off of it. They're like, "Well, I'm getting." I mean, the first here's a rule of thumb, and they can listen to this. If you call us and say, "I'm getting other bids," we're already out because we're not competing.
No,
is what it is.
If you're shopping around, I'm not. Hire me for my work, not for my price.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you want me to do this, I'm honored to do it. But I don't want to be your option A, B, or C. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be an option. Like, if you like what I do, you want me to do it at your house, great. If you're going to call 30 people, I'm not interested.
Yeah, we have a referral program too at our store where a customer comes in and we'll give out we'll say two contractors and they'll go bid on the same job. We stress it; they're friends, and we always tell the customer, listen, they're going to be right around the same price. These 2 guys. You're not going to be fighting over price.
You feel comfortable.
Exactly.
Right.
It might be one
down to
personality, or you know what I mean.
Because you got to work together, and some of these
Exactly.
projects take a long time. And if that's the person you jive with better, then go with them. But at least those 2 guys are on the same playing field. You know what I mean?
And we make that. We stress that. We have gatherings and stuff with all of our guys. All of them. We just did it a couple nights ago. All of them. You're talking about 30, 40 contractors that are all sharing ideas, all talking to each other, all competition in the same place. Right. And we stress that.
It should be like that. And because, you're lifting up the industry together as unity, as people.
Yeah.
Instead of bringing it down.
Yeah, instead of bringing it down.
And creating that standard.
Yeah.
Right.
With these guys.
Yeah. Especially the other things, too, is if you're not charging enough, and we've all sold jobs that you should have got more, and you feel that stress. And, could you imagine doing that on a day-to-day bit where you're just how can you be in a rush to get out of somewhere? You know what I mean? Like, I know what it cost me a day to have everybody there. 2 days is, you're talking a couple $1,000s. If you can't afford to spend an extra day somewhere, what's going to happen? Either you're going to eat that money or you're going to cut a corner somewhere.
And I'm sure both of you have experienced that. And maybe at the beginning of your career where you had to get out of there just to make the money you thought you wanted to make, or you didn't want to, maybe lose some money or something. I'm sure there's been an experience.
I've lost so much money because of my heart.
Right. Your name's on it.
Yeah.
You've done extra, I'm sure.
And the client doesn't even, that's what blows my mind. They don't even know or even understand. They don't know that this cost me more money. They don't know that this took extra longer. They don't know. Right. They don't know any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And, I don't feel the need to tell them. I just feel the need, and it's not even really about them. It's about the standard I set for myself in life.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to lay my head down at night and feel good that I did everything I could. Sure, it's not going to be perfect, and mistakes are going to happen and stuff. But it's I wouldn't change that. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't I know where these guys cut corners.
You might get away with it. One thing my dad told me when I was really young that always stuck with me was, it's not what the customer sees, but pick any guy like Stephen Dubner. It's a huge company buys. He said if Stephen Dubner came here and he pointed something out to the homeowner, how would we look? Like, the homeowner might not see it, but their brother-in-law that knows everything, you better believe he's going to point out something that he sees. So, I'll tell you, go to any one of my jobs, bring anyone you want, the best guy you could find, and I'll stand behind that. It's not so much the customer. The customer might not see those little things. They don't know any better. Yeah. It's not really their job to know any better. But if you think of your biggest competitor and imagine if they were there.
What would they say?
Yeah. Yeah, we get guys that come in and do our displays at our shop and stuff, and they're top notch, Displays, you can get around little things with, retail customers and stuff, but they do it for themselves. They put that extra time in there. Those cuts are money, you know what I mean? And they do that for their own pride, just like you guys are doing on the job sites.
Just doing that little bit extra, it goes a long way a lot of times.
100%.
Yeah, maybe you lost a little bit of money on this job by throwing mulch around the job, but who knows? That neighbor might have seen you do that extra thing, and that pays for itself right there.
People notice what they're getting. You know what I mean? If you leave a good impression, that's great. Like, we don't charge extra for hooking up downspouts. That's in the price of the paving. The poly sand is in the price of the paving. It's not extra. Right. We don't want to do the job without that. You know what I mean? We're not cutting that. What are you going to save? A couple $100? And now the gutters are dumping out on the walkway, and it's icy in the winter or it's moldy. Just figure it in your price and just include it.
Yeah. You got to pad it a little bit.
Educate the client.
Right.
Paper patios are just, they're like, oh, yeah, we need to fix the paper. I'm like, well, the gutters are splashing right down.
Yeah.
Like, did he not tell? Well, this should have been ran in ground. You should at least, that way, I'll tell the client and say, okay, here's what you need to do. First of all, you need to get gutters. I know it's weird that it's not standard on houses here. It's very strange. As much rain as we get. And then I'll say, hey, listen, in the excavation stage, hey, we're going to run these downspouts underground, and that way it's done. And I tell them why you want to do this. Because other guys, they'll go out there and they're like, oh, yeah, we put a patio in. And they put a patio in, and then,
It kills me. There's still guys doing that aren't running their gutters underneath their hardscapes.
Yeah. Or using the flexible ADS pipe
to get it past it or
get
something.
Right.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it before too. It might not be in the bid or whatever, but you get done with your project, you're ready to take pictures, and there's some limbs hanging down, broken. Right. You're like, I think we should cut those branches down. Yeah. It just gives that detail, that little extra touch. It's gonna make that job.
PSA. Please move the hose before you take your pictures.
Or the hose stain.
Yeah, dude, I'm like super we'll brush things off and oh no, because I think as a designer, like you have an eye for it. So I don't know about y'all's photographer, but I'm like, oh, this is a good shot right here.
Are you guys the type of guys that have to wet everything down before you take the pictures?
No, stop doing that too.
I use me. I went it down. I brush it off. I do everything.
It looks better when it's dry. I think.
Yeah, because it gives you the real deal. I know, and I told Chris from Cambridge, stop wetting your patios down to take pictures and putting them in the catalog. I'm trying to sell these jobs to these people, and everything's wet. So he went back to the dry paper.
I know it's hard for us just when going on the patio to try to sell to a retail customer
when it's raining,
when it's wet, because it doesn't give it a true realistic look, because the patio's not going to be wet.
Well,
I know.
If you want it to look that way, seal it.
Well, see, that's the thing too. But the biggest thing too is like, we say that wetting it is not authentic with the color, but by the time these photos get filtered, like everything looks perfect and pristine.
You're right.
Versus actually visually going out there, and that's what a customer, I was talking to them, and I said, listen, I'm like, the renders are amazing, and the photos are amazing, but remember, and he's like, no, I get it. This stuff is filtered, it's going through, whatever the photographer uses and stuff like that. So, it's it's social media. I mean, everything's perfect on social media.
It's even like that in the catalogs too.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't look at a catalog.
One in the Cambridge is there, bro. There's plants in that photo. That's my job. That they're not there.
Yeah.
and whatever, they did it for composition or wherever they want to do it, and that's fine.
Yeah. We create our own catalogs. Ben does a good job too, but he's got to airbrush them. So here and there, man.
Well, it's just and you're in nature and like dirt, and I mean it's like it's not going to be.
It's concrete.
Yeah,
it's
like,
dirty.
Understand what it is that's actually laying down, because you see it's everything, from models and stuff like everything. You're like, man, you don't really look like you do on social media.
It's like a dating website or something.
Yeah.
You see the girl and
it's like you don't even look.
You get to the restaurant, it's like,
the part there,
what are you?
That
catfish landscape.
Yeah, we thought we got catfished by Zullo today.
he's like, I'm near the fireplace. We go there, there's like a 70-year-old man on his laptop. We're like, you Jason?
I was like, nah, I'm Jim.
We're like, have we been catfished?
Hey, I say whatever you guys are doing, man, you guys keep doing what you're doing, because wow, it's amazing. It's just great to be a part of this podcast with you guys, and it's just been a special day.
I'm excited for our listeners to listen to this episode too. So it's been.
You guys do a great job too, and you're doing a big thing for the industry with this, and it's important to hear different guys' perspectives and at different guys at different levels and what they're doing. Everybody's just got one thing. There's no shortcut to success.
Yeah.
You got to start somewhere. If you don't know where to go, work for someone. You know what I mean? Go work for someone. You can get paid and learn. How crazy is that? Most people go to college and they pay thousands of dollars for college. You can actually go work for someone and make good money and learn it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. One of our best installers right now worked for a bigger company, went out on his own, bought all his tools, was my recommendation for success. And right now, dude, he's killing it.
He's a true representation of that right there.
And he's doing good on social media. You can look up his social media. He doesn't have a lot of followers, but his portfolio.
I can't follow him then.
He's smoking mirrors. But he's doing a great job. And again, he learned from somebody else, and then had the courage to go on his own.
Right. And that goes back to like responsibility within the industry, doing the right job, having a good education, knowing what you're doing, and you know what? If you don't know what you're doing, just like Jared, this guy's an established business guy.
Yeah.
He didn't know the right way, or maybe he just wanted confirmation on how to do the drainage in the fire pit. Just ask me.
Reach out to somebody.
Ask me. People can ask me whatever. I'm not charging for information. I'm not that guy. I don't want to be a guru. If you have a question and it's a legitimate question and you don't mind putting in the work that comes behind it, like people ask me all the time, what software? I tell them, I tell them, you got to learn the software. Go take a book on landscape design and actually like learn some stuff behind it. You're not just making a pretty picture. Don't ever be afraid to ask somebody that appears to know more than you. You know what I mean? Like if I did a job down here and I don't know these, some of these tropical plants. I think I asked you, I was doing a plant and I asked you to help me with some of the plants because I didn't know.
Joe's been asking me all weekend what a plant is out here. I'm like, Joe, I had no idea.
I know. There's this red plant that I'm in love with here. It's just no flowers or anything.
Sister. That's
Red sister.
That's probably
you see it everywhere, but it's
Yeah.
just so beautiful.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
And you're probably going to regret that because all our contractors are going to start DMing you like, ding, 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 ding. What should I do? What should I do?
You know what?
This guy doesn't even answer me.
I will never be that guru. You have my word here. I'll never be that guru.
Well, here's it is what he just said about their shortcut to success, and he touched on a couple things, and I just kind of want to go into deeper detail. Is in the industry, help each other out. Like he said, he's not going to be that guy that's charging. I was contacted by, these are kids, man. I'm 33. These are 18, 20-year-old kids that called me or texted me, and I always, and they'll verify this on this podcast, I'll say, here's my number. If it's that important, you call me. Because I'm not texting you back and forth. I'm like, you should do it this way and da-da-da.
Yeah.
And then they'll call, and they're like, oh, I just thought you charged or something. And I'm like, for a phone call? Like, man, are we that point in society? Like, instead of saying, no, I want to see you do good. I want to see you elevate the industry because it helps us as a whole. We got to start thinking. We're so small-minded. Like, we got to think on the bigger scale of things and how it affects and it sends that ripple effect throughout the whole industry. If we come together, we unify each other, and we work together, everybody benefits from it. Everybody. And, the shortcut to success thing, that's my biggest thing is I've started my social media over 3 times, because if you go back 10 years ago, it was me in a push mower with no shirt on, push mower in the backyard. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like.
Probably had all girls following.
That's
you.
on a different website
now. But yeah, and it's just like, and Jason's seen like probably half of it, but there's a whole nother half that nobody's even paying me any attention. They don't even care because like you got to trust the process, and it does sound cliche, and this applies to life. Like, trust the journey and trust the process. Like, if you're doing what you're supposed to do at life, like, don't be the emotional roller coaster that's like, oh, it's a bad day, the traffic's bad. No, trust the process.
Right. Don't be afraid to put in the hard work.
Yeah.
Right.
Keep pushing forward. And, you're going to screw up, and you're going to fail, and you're going to screw up on jobs, and you're going to screw up on designs, and it's part of it.
Yeah.
It's life. It's
that
learning
process.
I think a lot of these, I'll call them kids, they want to start out, and they want to be the CEO the second day.
Right.
Like, you hear the thing, work on the business, not in the business. If it's you and one guy, you're working in the business.
Right.
You're going to have to do that to some point. You're not going to just, start a job, and then your second month hire 2 guys, and now you're in the office all the time, and they're working because it shows.
Yeah.
Unless you found the magical guy that everybody's looking for.
And let me know.
That knows.
They got
Let me
family.
know. I'll pay him more.
Yeah. A lot of guys that we deal with are owner-operators.
Right.
So that they don't lack in craftsmanship or anything because they're on the job.
You see, that's a majority of.
You either got to
of
be
the guys are doing
huge
that.
or you got to be small.
Yeah.
There's no middle.
Right.
There's no
I
middle.
see stuff
learned
guys
that.
post, oh, I didn't go to the job site for the past week. And I go, I can see that. I can see that. Where I would have been there and would have been like, hey, guys, we should, do this over or refix this. You weren't there and it did it. And if that's the company you want to be, a production company, that's fine. I don't think people are paying for that in this industry. Maybe commercial work, but, you got to have like the standard of if you have to be there, be there.
Yeah.
If that means you're in the office till 9 o'clock at night, then you're in the office till 9 o'clock at night, figuring it out. You can't just think you're going to hire a whole crew that, I have one guy that's worked for me for 15 years. I taught him, everything. We learned a lot of stuff together too.
Yeah.
But, he does everything my way. You can't hire that guy.
Yeah.
Unless you steal my guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then he's going to do it a different way than you. You can't just think you're going to open a business, especially in this industry, and then a week later check out. And, you guys
back.
running around like the CEO of Apple, and they, preach all this stuff. And it's like, stop with so much gimmicks. Yeah. And, they're paying for mentorship, and that's fine if you want to do that. But don't pay for mentorship and then not pay to train your employees or not put the time in to training them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You got to build a team.
Right. You're not going to go
basically.
from 0 to 60.
Yeah.
That's going to take years. Years. And
if you're even lucky to achieve that. And I think there's such a big gap. That's why I really like this podcast, is because it's such a big gap between what's actual, like, realistically our everyday life of average people and how we live. And when you hear, like, podcasts and they're like, oh, you can do this, and da-da-da. And, you know, they have hundreds of millions of dollars in Ferraris and, like, all this stuff. And it's like, okay, that's like there's 99% chance that's never going to happen for you.
Yeah.
Like the chances are so slim. So you could just devote your whole life and say, no, I'm going to get to Ferrari. But I think the biggest thing is for a majority of us is to understand that, like, when you go to, like, my social media page, like, I deal with things that the client deals with kids and wife and, you know, like, all these things that just every day that affects us. And, you know, the struggles, financial, that's another thing. Everybody's like, you know, and clients will even think, oh, you own the business, or people, friends, you know how family is. Like, they'll think you own the business, and it's like, oh, you're loaded. Right. Like, I get family I don't even know always asking me for money. I'm like, what do you think I have money?
You're never, you know, you can make a living, a great living in this industry.
Yeah.
You're never going to be a billionaire doing this.
Right.
You know, can you grow it and turn your social media into and monetize it somehow? And maybe, I don't know. I don't want to do that. If you want to be in this industry because you love it, you respect it, and you want to give, you know, like what we talk about, giving that project to the customer.
Yeah.
You know,
That creative,
that
that
end
artwork.
feeling.
not for the fame or what. That's all fake.
Yeah.
Yeah, and be real. Again,
Yeah.
if you only have a pickup truck, a trailer, a ditch
That's
witch, and some
good.
tools,
Right. Because
that's you, man. Be
this
real
is-
about
say
it.
that's wrong.
Don't say that's wrong. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
relatable.
Yeah.
You know, there's guys scared to even post, and it's all part of the process. We all been there. I had a 1998 red F-150 single cab it was 5-speed, and that was my truck. Like, that was it. That was paradise, you know? And, like, you know, and I personally, because I come from nothing, like, I thought I was hot stuff. You know?
And I bet you cleaned it every day. Every day.
Yes.
And that was the best looking, whatever it was.
100%.
Yeah.
Because you bought it, and it probably took a lot to
Exactly.
buy it. Right.
Exactly.
Because this economy's not going to last forever.
No,
Yeah.
no.
And if you
It's gonna
weren't in
expose some
business,
people.
right? If you weren't in business in 06, 07, you know, you're in for a rude awakening
Yeah.
if you think that this is just going to continue like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think Caleb Allman says it: buy the best piece of equipment you can buy at the time. You know what I mean? Don't go out and take on what Richard said, $250,000 in debt.
Yeah.
Figure out a way to make
People
it, because
starting lawn care companies, and I see them in platinum, you know, these $60,000, $70,000 vehicles, and I'm like,
How the heck do you do
I've
that?
been in business for 10 years and can't afford this vehicle.
Yeah.
Like, how did you do it?
Well, I think you're going to see a lot of Instagram accounts fall off
Oh.
as soon as there's a challenge to face adversity. When the stock market
Right.
goes down or whatever, you're
Bad
gonna,
economy
you're going
is
to see a lot of
it's like
deleted
when I-
Instagram accounts.
when I graduated high school, everybody was becoming mortgage brokers.
Yeah,
Because it was easy to do. You know, you had 5 guys working on the one guy's license. They all drove, you know, S classes and BMWs. Some of them lived at home or they had an empty apartment. That tanked, and now they work at Home Depot.
Yeah.
You know, but now the new thing is, like you said, a platinum F-250 is the new. You know,
Like, you
stock
haven't
market
made it
Mercedes.
if you don't have that truck.
Right.
Right.
And everybody always look. My truck is a 2002 Ford F550, and that's like my truck. And people are like shocked at it. They're like, "Oh, I thought, you know." And I'm like, "No." I said, "I don't want no $1,200 a month payment. Like, that truck's
No.
paid for.
Yeah.
It's done."
Well, what's nice is, like, in Rochester, an 02 F550 is rotted to heck.
Yeah.
In Florida, the thing still looks like you pulled it off the lot. You know what I mean? So that's the difference.
Yeah.
He has a different type of salt life.
Yeah. It's a little different, but
Man,
it's true, man. Like, and that's what, you know. I it's like we said, like, a bad economy is going to expose a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I'm low key
the
looking
curtains are going to
towards it.
come back when that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm low key looking towards it.
And I think
Because-
podcasts like this is going to educate these guys, take your wisdom and your knowledge and all these other guys and say, hey, let me trim this back a little bit.
And the way to sustain yourself during that time is you need to have a niche. You know, like we do mainly high end. That's you know, people cut back, but that's going to happen.
Yeah.
The guys that are doing, you know, your average, you know, 10 by 15 patio, those are the people that cut back first.
Yeah.
Find a niche, not a gimmick.
Right.
Like Sean from Premiere, he's got a great space. He knows his numbers. He's doing the decks with the patios. That's his space. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because people are always going to want that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He can stand out from the average guy.
Yep. Yeah, and he does a good job with his. He does the biggest design, and then he'll scale it back too. To whatever the budget is.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that's
he can
one
adapt.
thing he said on the podcast was somebody asked him about taking the plants out, and he's like, no, that's in the price, and I don't want to do it without that. Like, don't be afraid to tell a customer no.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, your name is on it.
Yeah.
If you don't want me showing up to the job or anybody afterwards and being like, your name's on the job, tell the customer no. If you don't like those colors and you're not going to be happy with it, I don't know, but I can't do a job if I'm not enthused about it.
Oh, 100%.
It makes it miserable.
Yeah.
If you're doing something you don't like. And it takes time to get that confidence to be able to tell them, no, I don't want to do that. I remember I wanted siding on my house, and I wanted the corners white and the front different color. And the sign goes, I'm not doing that. That's going to look awful. And I
He's
said,
like, yes.
okay.
I love this guy.
Okay, yeah. This is what you do. You
know
know.
better.
So, and customers respect that when you tell them that.
Yeah.
Don't be a jerk about it.
Yeah.
But just say, I don't think that'll look good, or don't be afraid to walk away from something. Then you're not
Right.
going to be happy with the end result because you can't be miserable doing something.
It's part of your portfolio
right,
too.
and your name's on it forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And like I said before, that know-it-all brother-in-law, he's coming by for lunch or barbecue. You know what I mean?
He's gonna
Who the
see-
heck picked this color out?
Right. And the guy that did it at his house did it this way, and
Yeah,
it's-
you
it's
paid
not-
$60,000 for this?
Well, I could have got it done for 20.
Yeah, exactly. Guys, man, this has been real. Listen, this is the first time the podcast, the batteries ever wore out on the.
Yeah, they're all dead.
Okay. It's not even recorded right now.
No,
We're
it
just
is.
talking.
No, it's not dead yet, but they're about to go dead, man.
Okay.
I think
Is
this.
that what he's doing? It's like,
Oh yeah, he's in the
We got to do part 2 up north.
yeah.
man. Oh, my God.
wait,
We'd love
in
that.
Saddle up the camper.
Like in the summertime or something, dude.
65 degrees and Jared's wearing a hoodie.
Well, we'll be at H&A. I don't know if you guys are going to that at all.
Do you guys go to the Louisville show? We got a podcast booth at the H&A show at Louisville, so maybe we'll invite you up there. It's a big conference for our, all the natural stone, all new products for 2021. So, and all the new tools and everything. It's a huge conference out in Louisville.
Upcoming October.
I don't even
It's a
know if
ways away,
I say
but
Louisville, they say Louisville. But I say Louisville.
I say
Louisville.
Louisville.
Man, you don't want to ask me how I pronounce things.
One thing we got to know is the camper going to make it there?
It'll make it.
We're going.
So listen, we brought the country, we brought the city, we brought upstate New York here. Man, I appreciate you guys being on here, man.
been
Thank
awesome.
you. Thank you.
It's amazing. Thanks,
Y'all
guys.
been good hosts.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a go, man.